Thanks. All righty. All right. Anybody?
About the ongoing federal lawsuit filed by Pharma against the authorization for prescription drugs in Canada, I know it's filed a while ago. DOJ's defense was that since it had proved no on these plans between Florida, there was no case. So I'm confused why, how should the FDA still be compelled to approve Florida's application with that argument currently in court?
Look, I think it's a great question, and I think reasonable people would look at that from day one of this administration and say they probably don't want to approve it. Because you think about it, President Biden, 9 months ago, did an executive order saying we want to do all these different things, including that import program. The FDA has not lifted a finger to be able to approve Florida's application. This was something when President Trump was in office. There's a provision of law that allows you to apply to try to buy drugs from Canada. And it's just cheaper in Canada. So we would have saved the state tens of millions of dollars. So I went up and met with the president, President Trump, years ago. And, a lot of people didn't want to do it because pharma doesn't like it. And the president's like, no, do it. It's cheaper. I want you to do it. So there's a long process. We led the effort. Other states followed. It just was not right by the time he left office. So we needed to work. President Biden actually said he wanted to move this forward. And this was many, many months ago. The FDA has not done anything. So I can only construe that as meaning that they probably hope it just withers on the vine. I think that's unfortunate because we were going to start. We had a warehouse ready. I had a company ready down in Polk County. They were going to have all them come in, make sure they had the right labels, safety, all that stuff, and then be able to help Florida residents. And would have started with our state programs, but I think we had the capacity to potentially expand it. And, the thing is like all these other industrialized countries, they pay a fraction of what we do for prescription drugs. And so, a pharmaceutical company, they got to spend money to develop it and all that stuff. And so they want protection with IP, which, okay, fine, but we end up paying all of that as Americans, and these other places get it. So we subsidize people all around the world with the prescription drug regime. And I think we need more equity in that, and I think we need to help save Americans money on that. And so we've worked really hard to do it. I think it was right to do, but this has been a long source of frustration that this is something that just wasn't approved. Because, look, at the end of the day, it would hurt some of the profits of big pharma. I'm much more worried about you being able to afford your medication than I'm worried about big pharma, to be honest with you. So.
The Agriculture Commissioner race, challenging Senate President Simpson. He calls himself a DeSantis Republican, and he says that President Simpson has not had your back. Two questions. What are your thoughts on hearing folks saying they're DeSantis Republicans rather than Trump Republicans? And does Senate President Simpson have your support in that race?
So we're going to be making more endorsements prior to the primary season. I was able to do one with Blaise Ingoglia, who's been a real warrior, and he's going to be the next senator from over Hernando County. And we will absolutely be getting involved in some of these races. We're not going to do anything today. We don't have necessarily any announcements to make. But, I will say that we've been able to produce a lot for the people of Florida, well, since I've been governor, but particularly over the last 2 years. And I think Senator Simpson has helped us in a number of different things. If you look at all the great stuff we've been able to pass, we've got some more to do. We're going to have some more work to do this year, but hopefully we'll be able to get a lot of great stuff across the finish line.
Governor, heading into the special session, are there any redistricting principles that you'd like to see followed that weren't followed before?
So the General Counsel in the Governor's Office, Ryan Newman, wrote a really, I think, strong and compelling memo, and that should be publicly available, and he kind of lists the problems that we had with what the legislature has done. I think that they probably understand where we're coming from, and we understand it's going to be litigated, but if it's litigated when we have a probably cleaner product, we think that is going to be a better position, whereas on the other side, I think it's very vulnerable to challenge what the legislature did. So I think it's going to end up working out, and we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But, at the end of the day, we were not going to just let a court draw the congressional map. I mean, that's the requirement. of the legislature, and obviously they need to produce a map that is able to get my signature. And I think that they're going to be able to do that, but stay tuned. It should be interesting over the next few weeks. Okay, everybody, it was great to be here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.